Hi, this is Brendan. This is week 11 of my course. This will be covering week 11, so 11th to the 13th. Just before we get into this week, or kind of overall for this week, this was an interesting week just because not actually much happened. Much like a lot of stuff normally happens in these weeks, but just because I think, as I talked about in these reflective logs in week 9 and 10, is I'm actually ahead. So I've kind of reached a point where I actually can't really do much because next week's peer review week, where we'll be getting peers to review our work and stuff like that, give feedback, so for next design. And then this week was editing week. I accounted for longer for filming and thinking it would take longer. It took me a week, and then editing I got done a lot quicker than I thought it would be. So I didn't actually really do much. So I kind of done more mini tasks. So the kind of three main tasks I done this week was I put together the VFX for the Mr. Blue Sky sequence. I talked about this a lot. I done a little bit of cleaning up on the edit, put together the first draft and stuff like that, and then I just done some more website stuff. So I think I've talked about this quite a lot. My spelling is awful on my website. The biggest thing is capitalizing eyes. So I basically just went through my website, every paragraph of my website. This kind of spent about, I think, about three hours just kind of cleaning it up, editing it. A couple of things I've done was I made the titles a bit bigger just so you can easily see them, stuff like that. So that was kind of a little nitpicky thing I done. Another thing I also done was just because I'm ahead, I thought I'd help people out. So this meant filming, acting and films and stuff like that. So it's not really as a long a reflective log, but I still got a little bit of issues I can talk about. But also I won't be talking about it day to day, just because again, like the last kind of weeks, I work weirdly, it's all balanced out and stuff like that. I only done mini tasks and I think it's getting more confusing. So let's get into problem first. Problem one was After Effects won't allow for audio. I think I talked about this in my experimentation when I messed around After Effects is After Effects you can't hear the audio. That's kind of annoying because as I've talked about, I'll show the sequence. Look at it up, how it comes. The Mr. Blue Sky sequence is very much about timing, and you have to kind of, to do the VFX right, you have to have a timing issue. So I did a little bit of research and find it actually was actually a bug with After Effects. So I went through the settings, I can't remember the exact settings I used, but basically I messed around with the settings. I made it so I could actually hear the audio, and this is kind of a good example of me using my extra time that I now have to my advantage because I basically cleaned up the audio. I made it, I think, better timed it out and stuff like that. Another issue I had was when I stuck to the storyboards, the VFX were weak. So I'll show, this is very much a website. That's why there's two versions of this. So if you notice in this shot, it's the VFX aren't in it that much. They are in it here, here, and then they do not appear after it. So they're only in the first like 13 seconds. And I thought that was really weak and stuff like that. And the story was obviously accounted for only about that time, but because I didn't really think about it very naturally and stuff like that, I think what I needed more VFX. I also found the white wasn't really standing out like I wanted to, because it was a sunny day and also I used a gamma ray filter. A lot of the footage just came, the white just kind of blended in too well. So I actually, my solution to this was kind of, because I had this extra time, I redone the VFX with two main goals: is to change color and make it more heavily influenced into the film. So the color I chose was black. I experimented with a lot of colors. I think blue, red, things like that. I use a bit of blue, but I think black is the most simple and it stands out a lot really well. I think it works as kind of animated style. So I'll show you, this is what I've done. So you can see there's a lot more. Basically the goal was the shot, every shot, like for example, let's compare these shots. As you can see, these have the sound waves and stuff like that. And I really think it much better to film this kind of sequence. It really makes the sequence more unique and stuff like that. I think the VFX make it fun and stuff like that. I also use VFX as an opportunity to clean up parts of the film. I think I talked about this. An issue I had was during production, I accidentally shot a couple of scenes with the bag in the background, just because I wasn't really focused on the shots. And the VFX basically allowed me just to clean that up. As you can see, the little kind of music notes go over the bag. So it's kind of a little clever kind of thing I've used to kind of cut down that issue. Problem 3 was the Premiere folder was made a newer version. I mean, it didn't work on college computers. Because I have Premiere at home. I have, I think, the newest version is 2021. That means that basically how I do it is I have an SSD and I put it on the SSD and then I'll go to college and do it. The problem is because I was using the 2021 version and the college was using, I think, 2016, you can't downgrade it into a 2016 version. This meant that I couldn't edit anything in the college. Obviously just the blue site, any sequence. So what I basically done was done all the editing at home. So for example, the biggest piece of editing was I done a bit of blue sky sequence and After Effects. I downloaded it, put it on YouTube, done the whole thing, and I'll talk about next. Had the MP4 file, and then when I got home, I uploaded it, stuff like that, and added it. And it's an issue, I think. It's one of those little issues with college and stuff like that. I kind of got around. I was lucky enough; I had it all edited and basically done. I had some free time for my own personal time to kind of get it done, and I had other stuff to do in college anyway, so it's not a massive deal. Talking about what I just mentioned with After Effects, I talked about this in experimentation. After Effects is super weird. After Effects, you basically have two options to render. You can either export to Premiere that does not work, or you can export to a file. Normally, I would export to MP4 because that's the only one that works with Premiere. The thing is, you cannot export to MP4, so you can't really. So I can't really put it in Premiere. You can only export to .wav. .wavs do not work on Premiere. Problem with .wavs is on any kind of converter from .wav to MP4, it actually won't work because you use the file size. So this runs into an issue of how do I get to MP4? The solution I came up with in experimentation that I used again in this problem solving was I would upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video, then download off YouTube. And when you download off YouTube, it downloads as an MP4. So that's problem basically. That's kind of like your problem solving was that I kind of done a workaround and stuff like that. The next issue to kind of go into is the poster. Because I have a lot of free time, I'll be honest, I thought of a way to promote the film would be through posters. I've always wanted to do kind of posters. I think it's something cool. I use Photoshop to make this poster. I think I talk about this a lot in this kind of paragraph here I mentioned about it. But the kind of design I was going for something a bit minimalist, something a bit weird. I wanted to be surrealism to play touch on with the film. So what I done was I got a shot of me with my earbuds in, because music is a massive part of this, and Brendan. And then basically I had these kind of cutouts of the film, each kind of representing the 7 chapters of the film. So, for example, no advanced sequences in red, whereas the Western sequence in this kind of yellowy, etc. And I kind of to represent the film for that. I think it's a very interesting unique style. The problem with this style is that how Premiere works is basically you have an effect and then the picture, and the problem is if you're using multiple effects is that they'll kind of all either go on top of each other and stuff like that, and it creates a lot of issues. Well, I couldn't get this exact design I wanted because it's all kind of very messy in the file. The kind of solution I came around is basically what I would do is I would do let's take no advanced sequence. I would make a PNG. I would get the picture in Photoshop and make it red. I want it saved as PNG, then add it to the file. Then when I add it to the file, I would choose the square I wanted and then choose the opposite of that square. So everything other than that should delete that. And then now I have a red square. And I keep doing that for the rest of them. And then I end up with this design. I think it's like a simple solution. I do very much like the design. It's very much in line with the film I was kind of making. And I think it works really well. So this has been kind of a short week, to be honest. It was only a small amount of tasks, and kind of like, it was kind of more of a kind of gap week and stuff like that. I kind of used it to kind of do little things, kind of errand running, as I talked about the website. I kind of just cleaned up spelling. I added in more, like, I just kind of made it look nice. I kind of spaced things out, made it look better. I obviously finished the Mr. Blue Sky sequence and stuff like that. So the main trial this week was that kind of Mr. Blue Sky sequence. I think it works really well, and the VFX are very kind of clever how they kind of deal with a lot of issues and stuff like that. I think what I really done well was kind of taking, not the sticking to those storyboards, because the stories weren't working. I made those storyboards in an ideal situation, but by now I look at the footage, it's kind of like I can add more to it. I don't want to just be stuck with the storyboards. So yeah, I think I've done really well with that. So that's my pro of the week, is that kind of, I would say, the Mr. Blue Sky sequence effects, because that was the main goal of the week. Main con of the week, I think. I think maybe the cut poster could have been a lot better. Maybe I could have done something a bit more cinematic and stuff like that. I'll admit that, the more I look at it, I like it, but I think I could do a lot better. I think I could have thought more about a social media campaign, how best this would work on social media, thinking about if I should have spent more of my time working on kind of social media stuff. So I did make a trailer. I think I talked about this last week, or I didn't. But I made a trailer this one in the in-between week. Very much inspired by Bad Times Video, the trailer. But the trouble with the trailer is it's 1 minute 52, doesn't really lend itself very well for social media. So I think if I had more, I think I should have used time more wisely. I should have used my time more wisely and maybe made more social media trailers, stuff like that, and made kind of more maybe more mini kind of social media today, and thought more about how can I promote this other than a trailer and a post, or what else can I do? Can I do loose social media things and stuff like that? And I think that's something that I'm trying to work on, is kind of how do I approach the situation better. So target view. Last week's target, I'll just give a recap of this, is basically to finish off the VFX of Mr. Blue Sky sequence and get the entire film done, as I've talked about throughout this kind of very short reflective log. I did get the Mr. Blue Sky sequence done. I actually got it done twice actually, but I did get it done. It's very, I think it's pretty good. And I took on that feedback and stuff like that. So next week is peer review week. So one of the things I've made for peer review week is a survey. I will just show off the survey. This is actually something else I've done this week that I kind of forgot to talk about. So I've done a survey. It's, I think, about 10 questions. So the idea of the survey is it's going to be sent out to people who who look at both my website and my film, and it's questions asking about experimentation, about how I can improve the overall layout of my content, what music section is strongest and why, which is section is weakest and why, and an overall scale. And the idea is I can take on this feedback and say, okay, if 7 out of the 10 people don't like a shot in the Wes Anderson scene, for example, I can use that for the second draft. That will be the final version of Brendan Instead. That's going to go here. That's why I just have a filler spot for that at the moment. But I can use that to kind of go onto it. Obviously, I'll be doing it for other people, stuff like that. So the target review for next week, the target is for next week is basically to take on the feedback and make the amendments. So basically, I have some mistake on feedback. I think I'll make sure I take on the feedback. I really kind of better understand stuff like that. And if there needs to be amendments to make, then I'll make them. Obviously, if I can't make them just because of how if someone says redo the whole film, I obviously can't do that, but I'll try and take them the best I can and work around it and stuff like that. So I'm supposed to be a bit more sporadic. This week, week 11, was a bit more of a sporadic week, to be honest. It was very much a week where not a lot really happened to me personally, just because I'm so much ahead, and this is when it kind of catches up to me. But I did get a little bit done, as talked about. It was mostly the Blue Sky sequence, all the VFX around that, kind of the poster, cleaning up my website and stuff like that. So thank you for watching this vlog. Hopefully next week a bit more to talk about stuff like that as I do peer review week.